Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Petersburg, Florida. My name is Ben Atherton Zeman and I'm the minister here. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your journey, you are welcome here. Yes, I meant you. If you're thinking, did he mean me? I meant you. So if you've been looking for a church where Black Lives Matter, where we honor the earth as our mother, where we believe in building bridges, not walls, I have good news. You may have found your church home. Now, to provide accessibility today, closed captioning is available on the YouTube. On most devices and operating systems, you'll find the CC icon in the lower right portion of your screen. And if you're watching this on the Premiere, please use the text chat feature on the window next to the video. I mean now, say something in the text chat. Let us know where you're watching from. Let us know how you're doing. If you're viewing it at a later time, you can still read the chat transcript by clicking on the Show Chat Replay button to the right of the video. I hope that whenever, wherever you are watching this, you will find something that helps you grow spiritually, both individually and as a member of our greater community. Your presence is needed and wanted as we work towards building a blessed community. John Motter is joining me this morning as our worship associate. He will read us a poem and share our community's joys and concerns. Janae Johnson is with us this morning. She's going to tell us a story about a mountain and that mountain's message to a village. John Arterton is here, and James Mack, his husband, and they're going to sing for us. They're going to provide music. It is going to be a wonderful worship service. I am really looking forward to it. Now, our flaming chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism. It's a symbol of hope, of the sacred, of the quest for truth, the warmth of community, the light of reason, and so much more. So let's say our covenant out loud as I light our chalice. But first, let us take one more moment of silence to center us for this worship service. Love is the spirit of this church and services law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Our invocation comes from Hannah Roberts Villeneuve, a UU minister and LGBTQ plus activist in Cheyenne, Wyoming. The storm is passing over, the old hymn says, except. The storm has not passed over just yet, has it? Here, for this hour together, we rest in the eye of the storm. We gather not as a changed people, but as a changing people. Here in the eye of the storm, the calm, common center, the place where the pressure reduces, where the winds die down, we are finding one another near and far, in new ways of being together, again and again and again. We gather not as a changed people, but as a changing people. At once, we find an empty seat and a new face. We see new gray hairs, and yet others who have grown 5 inches taller since last we met here. New lines of worry are on our furrowed brows, visible on the Zoom screen or above a mask. We gather not as a changed people, but as a changing people. Looking up the walls of the cyclone, we see towers of clouds and rain and wind, held up around this hour by the forces of circling chaos. Because the storm has not passed over after all. And so, we gather not as a changed people, but as a changing people. Here in the eye, the pressure goes down, the winds die down. Perhaps we glimpse the sun, comforted, even as we know that this pause is temporary. We take a moment, a breath, to join together again. We gather not as a changed people, but as a changing people. Changing, breathing, being. knowing that this is but a moment. Grateful beyond measure for this moment. Let us worship together.
Church is more than just a building, more than wood or metal or brick. Church is how we love our neighbor. Church is how we tend to the sick, feed the hungry and heal the suffering, welcome strangers and give to the poor. All our service is as worship, all our presence an open door. Church is more than a weekly gathering. Church is faith that's come alive, filling hearts and minds with passion, peace and hope that ever abide. Even as the building's empty, we are touched by the deepest of grace. When the Holy lives within us, we are in a holy place. We're the church in the path we follow, showing care to those in pain. In the midst of fear and sorrow, we're the church and here we'll remain, seeking justice, showing kindness, singing praises in all that we do. Church is more than just a building. It's our work toward a world made new.
Good morning. My name is Janae Johnson, and I'm your Religious Education and Communications Coordinator here at Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Petersburg, Florida. This morning, I'm sharing a story for all ages. Now, this story I had a lot of fun with. It's called The Answer Mountain, and it's part of our Toolbox of Faith. It's by Sarah E. Squire, and the story appears in What If Nobody Forgave, and other stories edited by Colleen M. McDonald of UUA. Now, long ago, and far away, or yesterday, or just around the corner, or maybe somewhere halfway in between, there was a town that sat quiet and content, tucked and quiet, in the shadow of a mountain. And carved on the side of the mountain, big and tall, so no one could miss them, were the words, "The answer is no." No one knew where the words came from or why they were there. They'd just always been there. But oh my goodness, the people that lived in that town cuddled to that mountain were glad to have the words there, because whenever the townspeople had a question, all they had to do was look up to the mountain and read, "The answer is no." So making decisions was very simple, and life went on smoothly and easily, and the town cuddled into the mountain until one day. Now on that particular day, my cousin was about to make dinner for her family. And she just couldn't decide. So sometimes you can't decide that, whether to make stew or steak, pasta or potatoes, dumplings or donuts. So she went out to the yard. Should I make dinner tonight? Should I make liver for dinner tonight? She asked the mountain, and she looked up, and the mountain answered, "The answer is no." All right, I knew that. Nobody's crazy about liver. But should I make a steak for dinner? The mountain said, Should I make a chicken? Should I make tacos or tofu because baked beans or broccoli, pork chops or popcorn? The mountain said nothing, but the answer is... So in a fit, what she did was go to the townspeople and tell them, I don't know how to decide. The answer is always no. Something needs to change. It needs to say something else. So one of the townspeople was a craftsman named Mason. He volunteered and said, well, I can put something else different up in the mountain. I could put yes. The answer is yes. So everybody said, yes, that's a great idea. Yes, we can do that. Yes, that's a great idea. So Mason went up to the top of the mountain and worked day and night until finally the answer had reflected. So fast forward. Now, McCustis goes back to the mountain because after all those days it took for him, Mason, to make that sign, she still hadn't eaten dinner. She still hadn't made a decision yet. So she went to the mountain and asked the mountain again, Mountain, should I make liver for dinner? The mountain said, the answer is yes. And so she was confused. She was befuddled. She was just like, wait a second, but my family doesn't like liver. I promised my husband I wouldn't even make any more liver. My kids, gosh, they can't stand liver. Why are you telling me to break the promise that I made to my family and not making liver? And guess what the mountain said? The answer is yes. She went nuts. No, this is not right. I don't think this should be the right thing. I don't like this answer. I'm not sure if this is the right thing at all. And so the whole townspeople came about and they were all having their own opinions and say-sos. And then finally, the smallest child of the Koskis family speaks up. Well, why do we have to have one answer or another? Why can't we just have more answers? Can't we have more? Seems like a logical thing, right? And so the townspeople had gasped. No one's thought of that before. Everyone was just like, what? So you know what? Mason the carver sat and listened to everybody and suggested maybe the answer is sometimes yes, and sometimes no, and sometimes wait, and sometimes I just don't know, which are all valid answers. So Mason the stone carver went up and he did it. And what was happening was he started to do it and he was working every day. But the thing about it was every day that he was working, he realized people were still doing what they needed to do. And even though he was tired, he was just like, wait a second, I don't think I need to go up there. He got tired of going up there and people got tired of waiting for him to finish. But what wonderful thing happened was the people started to ask each other questions and helping everyone else find answers that seemed to fit. And so the townspeople realized that they usually had different answers. And often a question will have different answers, especially from different people. There were many more answers than they had imagined. And then, of course, it was okay with them. So after a while, they thought that maybe the answer mountain was giving them right then as it was better and more sensible than any other answer. And so they left it as it was. And the mountain said, I hope you guys enjoyed this story today. I certainly did. Bye.
Thank you, Janae, for that Time for All Ages story. Please be sure to check out the UU St. Pete Weekly for announcements of the many things happening here at church. This is the time in our worship service for joys and concerns. If you're watching this YouTube live, please feel free to type your joys and concerns into the text chat. 2 of the actual stones I'm placing in the water today are worry stones that were given to my mom many years ago. She passed them on to me 23 years ago when I had to quit work due to my health issues. We've had a great 45 years of providing ripples of strength and positive energy to our family, and may those ripples continue to touch our congregation, our families, our community, and the world in general. I place the first stone for Audrey Ziers, who passed away this past week, as many of you already know. Please send your love and thoughts to her family, and may her memory be a blessing. I place the second stone for the women of Texas, as they face laws that restrict their bodily autonomy. We join with other Unitarian Universalists in offering Texas women both individual support and systemic changes to their law and their lawmakers. I place another stone of joy for Ruth Bentley, who wanted to express the immense gratitude for all that you have done to help while she is recovering from the fall that broke her pelvis. She's making steady progress and even does daily walks partway down the block each day. And finally, I place the fourth stone for those joys and concerns that remain in our hearts, perhaps too tender to be spoken out loud. The mystery is that we are connected even when we feel apart. Let us rejoice in our beloved community that makes of the many one. So may it be.
Still I see that destination clear.
Yes, it's clear. Those troubles may wait me at every turn,
But I know,
yes
I know
I can go on. So brother,
come and take my hand.
Sisters, help me sing my song. For I know hope awaits me at every turn.
And I know, yes I know,
we will go on.
Though days be dark with storms and burdens weigh my heart, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. My sorrow heals my soul and burdens make me strong. Though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. My sister in my heart, my brother in my song, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. This song calls us to a resilience that I aspire to and that I sometimes achieve. But to be honest, sometimes when the days be dark with storms and burdens weigh my heart, I just want to go back to bed. And sometimes my sorrow heals my soul, but other times I'm just sorrowful. I'm just sad. And sometimes burdens make me strong, but other times they're just burdens that weigh me down, that make my back hurt. So maybe the secret is in that third line. It uses the gender binary, saying my sister in my heart, my brother in my soul, my brother in my song, but maybe we can translate that to my siblings in heart and song. Maybe it's okay to be both vulnerable and resilient. Maybe the key to both that vulnerability and that resilience is each other. Now, I've been the minister here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Petersburg for 7 weeks now. I've had the chance to meet many of you, and thank you for that gift. I look forward to meeting more of you. And many of you have been courageous enough to be vulnerable with me. Many of you are hurting, and many of you are feeling vulnerability because of COVID, because of what's happening in the world, just because your lives are hard. But all of you, I have found to be resilient. Now, I will admit, I was disappointed when we realized that we shouldn't meet out in front of the church this Sunday. Maybe some of you came to the front of the church. We've tried to get the word out, and I was probably there to greet you, saying, nice to see you, go back to your car, or on YouTube Live. I mean, we did a lot of work to make this happen. It was a big buildup. There's a lot of excitement. Janae, Sharon Wood, the worship team, so many of us have bought caution tape. Sharon brought in her old golf tees and some tent stakes. We had ideas of who could sit where. Janae mapped out a picture of the front lawn, and we bought cables to set up the portable sound system, and then we realized it wasn't time yet. We realized the storm hadn't passed over. So it was a moment for both vulnerability and resilience. Now, John Motter earlier read us the words of Hannah Roberts Villanueva, who said, "The storm has not passed over just yet, has it? Here," she says, "for this hour together we rest in the eye of the storm. We gather not as a changed people, but as a changing people." Here in the eye of the storm, the calm common center, the place where the pressure reduces, where the winds die down, we are finding one another, near and far, in new ways of being together, again and again and again. So we can tell one another about the places where we feel vulnerable. We can tell one another about the surprising places where we have shown resilience. We can find new ways of being together, like this YouTube Live, new ways of being together, like calling each other on the phone, like volunteering at the Friday homeless picnic. For some of us, these aren't new ways, but they're all we have right now. We need to lean on those ways and show our creativity, figure out new ways to be together. Don't give up on me. Don't give up on each other. It may not seem real just hearing me through the YouTube screen on your computer, on your phone, but it is. It is real. This connection is real. And so is the connection when you pick up your phone. Now, Janae told us earlier about this mountain that eventually bore the words, The answer is under construction to the village below. This week, your board of directors approved a new COVID policy, which will guide our safety team and the staff as we figure out when it is safest to meet. The policy suggested by the Unitarian Universalist Association gives us good guidelines, but does not tell us exactly what day we will see each other again. There is no clear answer on the mountain. The answer is under construction. I stood outside on that very same lawn this week with Janae. She suggested maybe we shouldn't plan on a specific day to have worship outside, only to push it back like we did this week if the COVID Act Now website still shows Pinellas County in the very high or the extreme slots. Maybe she's right. Maybe the answer is under construction. But whatever happens, we have each other. This connection is real. Whatever happens, we can tell one another those tender places where we feel vulnerable, those surprising places where we find resilience. Whatever happens, you are my siblings in my heart, in my song. Though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. If we stay connected, if we stay present, if we stay with each other, if you stay with me, we will wait out the storm. We will meet on that front lawn. We will meet in the building. And for now, we meet here on YouTube Live. We meet on Zoom right after for our virtual coffee house hosted by Bill. We meet on the phone. We can meet other places too. Where should we meet? We're a creative group. Let's figure this out. How do we stay safe and reach each other, find each other? John said it at the end of Joys and Concerns. The miracle is that we are connected even when we feel apart. The miracle is we are connected even when we feel apart. And finally, we say goodbye this week to our beloved Audrey Zieres. I'm in touch with her family, and I will let you know what their plans are to remember Audrey and how we can help and participate. In her memory, I would like to read to you right now the Mary Oliver poem, Wild Geese. It's number 490 in our gray hymnal. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert, repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies, and the deep trees, over the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clear blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. Beloved members of the Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Petersburg community, the world offers itself to our imaginations, calls to us like the wild geese. So let us use the tools we have, the tools of YouTube, of Zoom, of phones to stay connected. The answer is under construction. Let us build our resilience and know in our hearts This storm will pass. Let us love and appreciate one another, siblings in my heart and song. The miracle is that we are connected, even when we feel apart. Amen, and blessed be.
To keep our congregation thriving, let's remember our connections to one another and not forget our offerings to support the means to those connections. If you're watching today on a mobile device or computer, please hover your finger or cursor in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Click on the I in the small circle for a secure way to give. You can also donate through the website under the Giving tab at uustpete.org. That's uustpete.org. Or by sending a check to the church office. Many thanks.
Our chalice extinguishing is by Elizabeth Stella Jones and is number 456 in our beloved gray hymnal. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts till we meet again. Thank you, everyone, for coming together this morning. Please stay safe and well throughout the week. We hope you can join us right after the service for the Zoom coffee hour. The meeting information will be on your screen shortly.